Welcome everyone to our webinar. Today we'll be talking about navigating crypto hoaxes, frauds, and investment scams. Before we can get into it, this webinar is brought to you by CryptoChicks. We launched CryptoChicks Academy, so we have on there other courses as well. So like this webinar talking about crypto hoaxes or just cryptocurrency in general, if you're interested in learning more about that, or even blockchain and developing blockchain, you can visit our website at cryptochicksacademy.com. We also have a mentorship program, which is CryptoChicks Hatchery. So if you have a blockchain idea or some high-tech idea you like to test out or turn into a business, you can visit our website, cryptochickshatchery.com, and apply for our program there. But today we will be joined by our guest speaker, Joseph Iuso, who is the Executive Director of CMS Business Canada. He previously spoke with us in another webinar about money laundering and financial crimes, but today he will be giving us our talk on crypto hoaxes. So Joseph, it's all yours.
Thanks, everybody. I guess while I'm prepping up here, if people could tell me where they're from and what their kind of background is, if they're in financials or websites or whatever, that would be great. Just let me get to a second here. I'm trying to find the right screen. And I also want to make sure I have my chat up. Where's my chat? Chat, there we go. Slow from Toronto. I guess is everybody from the Greater Toronto area? Right. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so let me start. So today I'm going to be talking about navigating crypto hoaxes, frauds, and investment scams. Now, if I don't look at you directly on the screen here, it's because I've got my notes here and my other stuff here, and I'm going to get this out of the way. And so if I look over here, that's because I got my other screen here, which is the bigger one. Thank you for joining us today. I just want to be clear, this information that I'm giving you today is not really a technical or business or compliance presentation. It's more for a general audience and to give you an information background. To get into the details would be probably a 2-hour or 3-hour presentation. So, oops, get to the right screen. So a little bit about me. I'm a certified anti-money laundering specialist. I'm heavily focused on IT, self-service banking, and payments. I participate a lot in FinTrack working groups. FinTrack is the regulator here in Canada that regulates anti-money laundering. And for the last 4 years, I've been focused on payments, crypto, and AML compliance. Some of my current gigs, this was actually brought out of Unitralis, which is an event management company that I run here in Hamilton with a bunch of other people. I'm also the head of business development for KYC 2020, which is a sanctions screening and AML tools company. I'm also the chief compliance and privacy officer at Payment Source, which is the largest distributor of prepaid cards in Canada. I'm the CAMLO for bitbuy.ca, which is probably one of the biggest, if not getting to be the biggest crypto exchange in Canada. I'm also the executive director of the Canadian MSB Association, which is the tie-in to CryptoChicks, because that's where I was doing the last presentation based on that. And I do a lot of various independent gigs, mostly related to the payments, crypto, and compliance space, everything from business to technical to compliance, mostly at the executive level of directing and managing. So before I start, always going to start with the disclaimer. I'm not an expert in all things CAM, so I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not a lawyer, and nothing you should read here or hear here today is legal advice. I don't represent any government or government agency. Nothing that I say here should be interpreted as official government statement or position or policy. If you have any questions about a particular situation or company that involves people's names, confidential information, or the like, please reach out to me after the presentation before asking the question here. The information in this presentation can be shared freely. So after this presentation, I'll be sending it to Elena and I guess Tracy, so they can have a copy for their records. This presentation, I said earlier, is intended for the general audience. It's not meant to be a business, technical, or compliance focused presentation. And feel free to ask any questions. I put my box to the left, so I'll be looking over there when I look, and I can deal with them either during the presentation or at the end, and we can go from there. So the agenda today is I'm going to do an intro on the uses of the three F's I call FOMO, fraud, and fantasy, which really equate to hoaxes, frauds, and investment scams. I'm going to talk about a little bit about how they start. What are the signs that you're being suckered into one of these things? Ways to weed out the good from the bad, and some parting thoughts on other ways to spot the hoaxes, frauds, and scams. So, what are the three F's? So, the first one, hoaxes, is really related to the fear of missing out. These are sites that trick you into thinking that you're getting something when you're really not. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Same with frauds. Frauds are those sites that they say they're all legit, but really, if you don't do it, you're going to get in trouble. And then investment scams are those sites that are too good to be true, which I call fantasy. They all typically start out the same way, some form of introduction, some word of hello. In some cases, not so nice, and sometimes nice. It all depends. They try and play nice, and they show you what I like to call the rabbit hole. If you think about Alice in Wonderland and going down that rabbit hole, you don't know what you're going to get into, but it looks pretty interesting, or fearful, or fantasy. Then they take a punch just to test the water, see if they can go for the full jugular. Then they go in for the kill if they haven't already in step 3. And then they take that same method, they rinse, repeat, and start it again. Okay, so like that little raccoon says, when you play along with a scammer, only to fool them into thinking that they're actually scamming you. So be careful with these people because they've been around, a lot of them, and if you're trying to scam them, they'll probably trick you into other scams.